The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time has been said to be the greatest game of all time, and with the remake due to come out later this year, I believe it's time to talk about that claim. This series of videos is going to be different from my normal reviews on the channel. I want to break down the gameplay and design decisions made in this game to highlight how it has become such an iconic and influential game in the industry. After the first cutscene of the game, you are given full control of Link. It's strange to me that some of the first 3D games assumed that the player knew how to move in the 3D environment, but even recent games will tell you to use the left stick to move your character. All you know at this point is that your quest starts at the Great Deku Tree, and the game has already shown you the route to get there via the Navi cutscene. The game is going to subtly teach you how to navigate and interact with this world whether you realize it or not by limiting the player. You have no items, and thus no meaningful way to impact the environment around you. During the walk to the Deku Tree, the game teaches you that you auto-jump when you have to cross the weird little pond thing in front of Mido, and if you walk near the shop it tells you how to use Z-targeting. Talking to Mido presents you with your first roadblock, a dickhead that says you need a sword and a shield to go talk to a tree. The sword is placed on the far side of the Kokiri forest, so as you search for the two items, you are likely to see the shield in the shop, and talk to some of the Kokiri, which aren't much help in your search. Eventually, you'll make your way to the Forest Training Center, which honestly I didn't even know how to name until I started reading the signs in this playthrough. This area serves as a place to learn about how your movement changes as you target objects. This may seem unimportant, but remember that this game is the first game to use a lock-on system for melee combat, which is still used in plenty of games today. As you make your way through the training center, you will find the Kokiri sword, and you should have just enough cash to swing by the shop for your shield. Mido will let you pass, and you encounter your first enemy, a stick in the ground. Again, this may be some people's first 3D adventure game, and Nintendo needs to slowly roll out combat encounters to teach players. This is also going to lay a foundation for the sword-based combat in the game. Once you do make it to the Great Deku Tree, he tells you that he is cursed and the only way to save him is to come inside. Once inside, you are met with a new but familiar enemy. The Deku Babas here lunge at Link to damage him, and it is up to the player to move out of the way. They aren't threatening though because they are planted in one spot, allowing the player to be eased into combat. Now no matter which way you climb to the next floor, you will learn that vines and rough textures can be climbed. They also place the first map chest in plain view of the player in this dungeon. This is to help you get familiar with chests and just the map in general. The player is then confronted with two options: continue along the walkway or climb the vines next to the map chest. If they choose to climb the vines, then they will most likely be knocked off by the Skulltulas clung to the wall. As they continue along the walkway, they will be introduced to an enemy that uses projectiles to damage Link. The Deku Scrub serves as a way to teach the player about using the shield in conjunction with Z-targeting. Inside of the slingshot room, most players will cause the central platform to fall, then open the chest for the slingshot. Again, Nintendo uses a controlled environment to teach players about first-person aiming, as well as searching a 3D environment for puzzle solutions by making them knock down the escape ladder. Players can now knock down the Skulltulas and climb the vines to the top floor. In the compass room, players learn about yellow switches, gold Skulltulas, torch puzzles, and using the compass in dungeons. Once you are out of the compass room, you are faced with hanging Skulltulas. The Skulltulas show players enemy verticality and weak points, while still keeping a mostly stationary enemy. Once defeating the Skulltula, the area behind it kinda looks like a diving board, so the player's naturally going to want to jump off, and once they do, they'll go from the top floor to the bottom floor through an obstacle on the first floor. This is huge for showing players how important verticality is in dungeons when looking at a 3D space. In the main room of the bottom floor, the game allows players to learn most of what was in the compass room because the compass room was optional. Also, once the torch burns the spiderweb, it will show players that flame removes them as well, not just falling through them. The next series of rooms are basically puzzle tutorial rooms with eye switches, diving, block pushing, and more torch puzzles. Side note, who decided that the ancient tree needed a moat with a rolling spike log inside of him, by the way? But anyways, players will also interact with Goma babies, which are the first fully mobile enemies of the game. These enemies are going to promote mobility during combat due to them not being planted to a certain spot. After the crawl space, dungeon connectivity is further reinforced as players push a block off an edge, climb down to light a stick, and climb back up to burn the final web. At the very bottom of the Deku tree, you use the hint information from the second Deku scrub to take out the 3 scrubs down here and learn that Queen Goma hates when it gets in her eye. Finally, you come to an empty boss room and have to use the first person perspective to find what is making the scratching noise on the ceiling. Goma comes down, you nut in her eye a couple times, and hit her when she starts crying, and the game rewards your degenerate behavior with a symbol of love. Once we're back outside, the Great Deku Tree talks about how a desert man is going to ruin everything unless we take a green rock to the Princess of Destiny. So I guess that's where we're going next.